It will give your plants a little bit of a quick pop, but the rest of the action is going to be kind of slow release, much like any other organic fertilizer is. In addition to the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, it also has some calories. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having a fantastic day. It is Wednesday, July 12th here in South Georgia, and on today's video we're going to do something we probably shouldn't do, but we're going to do anyway. We're going to try to grow some really tall corn right in the middle of hurricane season. So earlier this year we grew some Eden sweet corn in this plot, put about 40 or 50 bags in the freezer. The chickens have been helping us clean this plot up a little bit. They're almost done, and then we're going to be planting a warm season cover crop here pretty soon. And then a couple weeks ago we planted some more sweet corn, a variety called Troubadour, in these 3 tall raised beds just to give us a little late summer snack. And then today, in this no-till plot right here behind me, we're going to be planting some blue field corn that we can grind up and use for grits, cornmeal, all kind of stuff. So this variety I have here is called McCormick's Blue Giant. We got this online from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. Supposedly this variety was created by crossing Hickory King, which is a really tall field corn variety, and then some heirloom blue corn variety. So we should get some nice big ears of blue field corn, and the plant should get really tall. And we're going to be planting that corn right here in our oldest no-till plot. We had a cool season cover crop here going into the early spring. We let the chickens graze that several times, and then it's just kind of been hanging out. I had a little bit of a pigweed issue in here, so I've been working on my weed seed bank a little bit, just wheel hoeing this every now and then. Gotten control of that, and now it's in good enough shape to plant some corn. Now, as you can see, we've already got our rows laid off there and already got most of our drip irrigation in place. I did save one row just so I can show you how we do it. Now, when we planted that Eden sweet corn, that plot right back over there, we used double rows for the first time this spring, and it worked really well. We were able to get more corn out of that plot than we would have if we would have planted single rows. And the biggest benefit of doing those double rows, in my opinion, was that we were able to get our drip tape up really easily. We didn't have corn growing right on top of the tape. We had corn growing on both sides of the tape. Once that corn was done, I was able to mow it down, pull up that tape. The tape was in great shape, and we're able to reuse it on this plot. Now, when we grew the sweet corn over here, we put those double rows 40 inches apart. But in this plot, where we're going to be planting that blue corn, I put my double rows 48 inches apart, which basically means I'm getting 8 rows instead of 9 rows. Put them a little further apart because this corn is going to get considerably larger than that sweet corn did, and we're still getting a lot of corn out of here with 8 double rows. Now, when we were doing that sweet corn grow out, we did a video kind of breaking down the cost of growing that much corn in a 30 by 35 plot using the methods we use with drip irrigation and all that. And in that video, I said that the cost of the drip irrigation stuff was negligible because of the water savings it provides. But we had a lot of people say you got to include that cost because it's something you had to have. However, I would argue that, you know, that cost gets spread across quite a few plots. So yeah, we can attribute that cost to this sweet corn, but then what about when we turn around and reuse it on this blue corn? And so, with the exception of a few dollars worth of mainline tubing, all the rest of the pieces in this drip system are recycled. That filter and pressure regulator there, no telling how many times we've used that on other plots. This drip tape here, like I told you, was in perfectly good shape when we pulled it up from that sweet corn. All the fittings were already on it, no holes in it. We were able to put it down because it's the same length plot, reuse it. So we really don't have anything in this system here except that few dollars worth of tubing. And if you want to know more about the drip systems we use and all the individual pieces that you would need, there's 3 links I try to put in the description for each video we do. Those links are to 3 irrigation blogs we have on our website, one for in-ground gardens, one for raised bed gardens, and one for fruit trees. So you can go check those out. It's got all the pieces broken down with links to each piece. But anyway, let me explain what we've done here. So we used our FAD system that we use on a lot of different things. We start by making a furrow where our rows are going to go. We amend that furrow with some pre-plant fertilizer. That's the A. And then the D stands for drip. So we put the drip tape in the furrow and then cover it up. And the drip tape we're using, like I said, same thing we used on the sweet corn. This is a 15 mil thickness tape with a 6-inch emitter space. So we've already done 7 rows and I've got the water running on those right now, but I left this one row here so I could show you the process. Now before we amend that row and get to planting, I feel like I should explain why we're going to be using this stuff right here called Coop-Gro as opposed to the Nature Safe fertilizer that we normally use. Now this is probably more information than I should share, but I try to be as transparent as possible with you all, so allow me to explain. So as most of you know, we've been using Nature Safe fertilizers pretty religiously over all our plots here in the last 2+ years. I know the Southeastern Nature Safe rep personally, great guy. He's always helped me out when he can. It is a really good product. I would highly recommend their fertilizers to anybody. However, they can be hard to find. They don't really have a great retail distribution network. They're more geared to serving these really large organic farmers, which can make it tough for folks like me and you to get their hands on some of it. So a couple months ago, a friend of a friend that lives a couple towns away called me up and said, hey, I've developed this new product, a fertilizer, and I want to partner with your channel. So I then got on the phone with Nature Safe, actually had a Zoom call with one of the higher ups at Nature Safe, described to them that I had had an offer from another fertilizer company, and since they had been good to me and we've been using their product so long, I wanted to give them first shot at it. They weren't really interested in any kind of sponsorship deal. They did say I could be a distributor of their product, but by the time we got it freighted here, they really weren't willing to put it in smaller bags for me. The math just didn't work out. So here we are. This is the pre-plant fertilizer we'll be using for the foreseeable future. Probably will still use some Nature Safe 1300 on occasion when I need some extra nitrogen, but this is what we'll be going with as our pre-plant fertilizer, especially when we do our FAD system that we're doing on that corn over there. So let me tell you a little bit more about this stuff. So the guy that makes it owns a chicken farm, and what he's doing is basically taking the chicken litter from his chicken farm, running it through some pretty complex machinery and pelletizing the chicken manure, which is what we have here. It does smell like chicken manure. It's not super strong. Reminds me a lot of that Harmony pelleted chicken manure fertilizer that we've used in the past, although the pellets on this are a good bit bigger than that fertilizer. So this has a 3-3-4 analysis. It does have some ammoniacal nitrogen in it, which just means it will give your plants a little bit of a quick pop, but the rest of the action is going to be kind of slow release, much like any other organic fertilizer is. In addition to the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, it also has some calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and iron in it. And so whereas the Nature Safe fertilizer was pretty tough to get, this is going to be easy to get because we have it listed on our website now. We have it in 6-pound bags like you see here. We offer it in 12-pound quantities, which is basically 2 6-pound bags. And we also have the 25-pound bag here, which I've already dipped into a little bit. So hopefully that explains the transition. Now let's get back in the sun and plant some corn. So we'll take about 1 scoop of this Coop-Gro fertilizer and sprinkle it in our furrow here. Then we'll take one of our recycled drip lines. I'm going to try to do this without turning the water off. Probably going to end up making a mess, but we'll try to be fast with it. So punch a hole. There's water coming out. There we go. Got a little wet, but got it in there. Now that we've got our tape inflated, we'll just take our wheel hoe and cover up that tape. And now we're ready to plant. Now the only downside to this double row system is that we have to plant the corn seeds by hand. I don't know of any seeder that would plant really good in those little mini furrows on either side of that tape. So yeah, it takes a little more time to plant because we've got to drop the seeds by hand, got to cover them up by hand, but in my opinion, it's worth it. So for each double row, we're going to be planting here and we're going to be planting there with our drip tape in the center. Now with the sweet corn, I put my seeds about 8 inches apart and that worked out well, but look at those babies right there. That's some pretty big seeds, pretty big corn kernels, which tells me it's going to be some big plants and some big ears. So I'll probably put these about 10 to 12 inches apart. So I'm going to start dropping some seeds. I got a whole pound here, I think, which should be enough to do all 8 of these double rows. All right, so we got 1 double row planted there, and last time we did this, we had several people asking how we were covering up the seeds. Nothing fancy here. We just take our garden rake and kind of pull the soil back over the top of the seeds. Do that on this side of the double row and this side, and then I'll take the rake like this and kind of pack it down. So I'm going to keep trucking along with this planting by hand here until we get all 8 rows done. And if this corn doesn't get blown down, it should be absolutely beautiful. I expect the stalks to get about 13, 14 foot tall, maybe taller than that. And like I said, have some nice big ears. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Don't forget to check out our affiliate links and coupon codes in the description below. Also go check out our website, lazydogfarm.com, where you can find that Coop-Gro fertilizer and our fig trees. And I mentioned earlier that video we did with the cost breakdown on our sweet corn plot there. If you missed that video, you can check it out right here. We'll tell you kind of everything that goes into growing that much corn on a 30 by 35 plot. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.